Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and what is incredibly exciting is Games Workshop have just showed off the new sculpt and rules for the new Warlock Engineer for Skaven. Now, this is our first Skaven model that we've officially seen for Age of Sigmar 4, and I know a lot of Skaven fans have been waiting for this for quite a while, so do let me know in the comments below if you're watching this back on YouTube or listen to it as a podcast what you think. I've just been talking to the Twitch chat about what we all think of the mini, and I think there's been some really interesting takes, especially for maybe a new design choice and aesthetic for the Skaven. Now, if you're not sure about what Skaven are, first time listening to Age of Sigmar stuff, for some reason, Skaven are a rat-like race that live in the Underhive and warp tunnels, which they literally dig through the material stuff of the universe itself, and they have a big city, and they're the main bad guys in Age of Sigmar 4. Depends who you ask. I personally think they're the main good guys. So they're going to be the other half of the launch box alongside Stormcast Eternals. An important point to note is probably that every one of the armies that were released alongside Stormcast have been given what we call the curse, the launch box curse. So not the lunchbox curse, slightly different, the launch box curse. And normally they're not very good. So will Skaven break the curse is a great question. I don't know. All right, so we'll go down and look at this article that they've released, and here you can see the new mini. And this is a massive departure, I think, from what we saw with the Warlock Engineer previously. The Warlock Engineer before was very mechanical. Definitely you could see that they would do a lot of spells, they would do a lot of magic, and they were combining, magic and machinery. This version of the Warlock Engineer is much more a heavily armored sniper rifle guy with a telescope, which is an interesting change. I think Skaven fans will generally be happy. Getting new Skaven sculpts from Games Workshop is incredibly rare, so I think Skaven fans will be pretty happy with this look. And again, do let me know. He has a little rat on his shoulder, which is incredibly cute. He's carrying a little pouch around, but I think ultimately it's a little bit of a departure from what I would expect to see from a Warlock Engineer. I would expect to see, and would kind of want to see, loads of warp lightning coming from some sort of like over-engineered, about to explode backpack with loads of green lightning coming out of it as well, and then the ability to maybe get into combat with a big halberd or something, which would be really fun. And I really wasn't expecting, so a big change up for me, really wasn't expecting to see a sniper, which is good. Really asking myself, where is the engineer in this sniper model, if I'm 100% honest? And then we start looking at the rules, we're going to ask ourselves, where is the warlock in this Skaven as well? So here is the War Scroll, as you can see here. And the first thing we should probably talk about, if we go to the keywords, you can see it's Hero and Infantry. It's also got the keywords Chaos, Skaven, and Scryer. The reason that we're going to talk about that first is because, quite importantly, it doesn't have the Wizard keyword. So it's not a wizard and isn't going to be casting any spells. Therefore, I don't really know if it's a warlock anymore, to be honest. It feels like a Skaven pretending to be a warlock. And with that said, no spells to cast. It is a pretty good shooting unit, and we'll talk about that in a moment, because I think the thing that we should talk about, which is really exciting, is that we've got the rules, or the core mechanic rules, for how units are going to be, heroes specifically, are going to be interacting in the enemy shooting phase, because this has been a problem in Age of Sigmar, and is a problem in many of the Games Workshop do, where heroes, who are fairly important for making your units more effective, have normally been susceptible to like light arms fire or even big cannons or something. So in this case, and like we had in Age of Sigmar 3 with Lookout Sir, we have a special rule called Guarded Heroes. This affects all heroes that are not monsters or war machines, and they gain the Guarded Hero passive ability. So, Guarded Hero, what does it mean? In effect, if a hero is within range, in the combat range, which don't forget is 3 inches, of a friendly unit, so a friendly unit that is not a hero. So one hero cannot bodyguard another hero. However, you could have your hero be near a monster, which is pretty fun, and use a monster to guard your hero. If that's the case, then you subtract 1 from hit rolls for shooting attacks that target that hero. That helps them survive already. And if this hero is infantry, they cannot be picked as the target of shooting attacks made by units more than 12 inches from them. Now, they have said that they think that they're reducing the range of shooting in Age of Sigmar 4, as well as reducing the rend in Age of Sigmar 4. However, we're about to look at the shooting profile for the Warlock Engineer, and I think that neither of those two things really hold up in that regard. However, making it so you can't shoot outside of 12 inches is really good, because that means that their shooting unit is close to your unit, and you're going to be able to charge them and fight them, which is really nice. So that's good. The -1 to hits are also really nice as well. So even if they do end up getting in range, you are then potentially going to shoot them, which is good. Okay, so let's go and look more at the Warlock Engineer to kind of unpick this. So generally heroes, if they're outside of 12 inches, can't be targeted, which is nice. The Warlock Engineer is going to override this. The Warlock Engineer has a special ability called Sniper Master. This is done once per turn in your shooting phase. And what you do is you pick a visible enemy hero to be the target, and for the rest of the turn, this unit and any friendly Warplock Jezzails wholly within 13 inches of this unit can ignore the effects of the guarded hero ability, which are in the core rules 25.0. This is another massively positive point for Age of Sigmar. What this means is that we are going to have numbered rules. We're going to, like, you would look at a section in the rule book and you say 25.1 is the rule reference. This is great. You had this in Age of Sigmar 3, you don't have this in 40k, and it's a wicked thing. It's really useful. You can screen cap sections, you can refer people to sections, and it also means that they can pick out rules and say, by the way, there's the rules reference for you, so you can immediately go pick it up. Games Workshop are normally not great at cross-referencing, so having the cross-reference available to you on the sheet is wicked. Anyway, you can ignore the guarded hero ability when picking the target for their shooting attack. So the Warlock Engineer and any Warplock Jezzails within 13 inches are going to ignore that Lookout Sir ability. The guarded hero ability, which is great. This makes these very effective. Probably we'll also see the Warlock Engineer, because he's a hero, being able to unlock Warplock Jezzails in their regiment. Don't forget the way regiments work is you have a hero, and then those heroes unlock certain units to be in their regiment. And I'm almost certain the Jezzails will be unlocked by the Engineer. So what sort of shooting attack does it have? It has a Warplock musket, which shoots 24 inches, 2 attacks, and is 3s and 3s, rend 2, damage D3. And it's also got critical wound. That's right, critical auto wound, which means it's time for... the critical hito means that any 6 to hit means it's going to auto wound, and with 2 shots it's not going to come up all the time, but it is going to come up sometimes, which is great. We'll most likely also see the Jezzails have a similar shooting profile as well, which is pretty good. And Ren 2 is very good, because if we look at the Warlock Engineers profile themselves, they've only got a 5-up armor save, and they've only got 5 health. So a Warplock Engineer shooting another Warplock Engineer is most likely going to be able to kill it. Which is pretty good. Well, average it does 4 health, which is fine. But the Jezzails will definitely finish it off, which is interesting. And in combat, he's okay. Move 6 inches, which is fine. It's not fast, it's not slow. Really, though, not that survivable as a hero with only a 5-up armor save. I'm sure most of the Stormcast heroes we're going to look at are going to have a 3-up armor save. And don't forget, with the ability to add +1 to your save via all-out defense, that means it's going to be a 2-up armor save. So they're going to be much more survivable than the Engineer. Now, the Engineer also has a special ability, a special reaction called More Warp Energy, where you roll a dice if you want to, and on a 2-up, you set the damage characteristic of this unit's Warplock musket to 3 for the rest of the turn. However, on a roll of 1, you inflict D3 mortal damage on this unit. So again, this means now that if you were shooting at another Warlock Engineer, you potentially can do 6 damage, and that means you're going to auto wipe it out, which is pretty great. However, there is that classic Skaven thing where there's the risk that you potentially are going to be taking D3 mortal damage, which is a classic Skaven trope. I got to say, looking at the Warlock Engineer War Scroll, one of the things that really stands out to me, this feels like a Skaven sniper. And I don't see any engineering, and I don't see any warlocking. And while I'm really excited, and I think it's a great data sheet, it's a great War Scroll, and it works really well, it's incredibly thematic, I just don't really understand where the Warlock Engineer element of this special rule set is, in my opinion. Obviously, I don't know how you all feel about it, and that's why I'm making these videos. Let me know how you feel about what you're seeing here. Do you love the mini? Do you hate the mini? What do you think of the special rules? Because it definitely seems pretty interesting. I would also say that even though this is it's got Rend 2 and it's damage D3 and it's 24 inches, probably this is maybe on the rarer side. They've said that they're reducing shooting and they're reducing Rend. So, I mean, I don't know if I want the Giselles to be 18 inches and only Rend 1. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. I'm not really sure. Rend 2 damage D3 feels like, at 24 inches, feels like there's no change in shooting ranges or Rend at all, in my personal opinion. But again, I'm just going to stick with what they've said. They're reducing it. So this is probably on the rarer side than not. But whether or not that ends up being the case, I guess we'll have to find out in the future. Cool. That's the Warlock Engineer. First Skaven model we've seen it's not the first one we've seen in a million years, but it's pretty exciting. I'm excited to see the rest of the Skaven range. I think it's going to be really fun. And I want to know what you all think about this as well. So let me know in the comments. And if you want to hang out with us, you can join us on Twitch Monday through to Friday, or you can join our Patreon, where we've got a great Discord of active people talking about all these things. All super excited about Age of Sigmar 4, which would be cool. Anyway, thanks for listening to us, Wargamer, and I'll see you soon.